Hi guys, it's Julia from Z Square Crafts. Today I'm on the TheAlleyWayStamps YouTube channel sharing a sweet card that I created for Halloween. For my card, I'm going to showcase using Prismacolor pencils on craft cardstock, but of course I have to start with this absolutely amazing TheAlleyWayStamps stamp set called Ghoul-Friend. If you've been watching this channel or if you follow me over on Z Square Crafts, you'll know that I've been so obsessed with this stamp set this holiday season. It's not a new stamp set to the TheAlleyWayStamps, but I just cannot get enough. So for this card, I'm creating a kind of creepy, sweet background using some of the this candy corn stamp as well as the apple, and then of course I had to throw in a little creepy crawler to that as well, so you'll see that in a minute. I'm just stamping these images onto my craft card base using black dye ink. I find this is just a great ink to use when I'm using my Prismacolor pencils. Other people have different preferences, but I really suggest a dye ink. In this case, I'm using black so that it shows up really nicely on my craft cardstock. I have an extra piece of cardstock, that's just plain paper on the side, so that when I'm stamping off the edge of my card, it doesn't stamp onto my craft mat. You can see that I've sort of had to rub on my craft mat a few times and the lines are erasing, so I'm just trying to avoid that now, just using that piece of printing paper. So here are my little creepy crawlies. I had to pull in this really cute spider. I don't love spiders in real life, but I think this one is really cute with his little eyes, and I'm pretty sure he won't come to life, so I'm happy to stamp him all season long. I am just, again, stamping these images. I tried to start with the largest image, which was that candy corn, and then I work my way down. There are so many awesome images in the Ghoul-Friend stamp set. I could have chosen many others to add into this. I was just happy with this background because I wanted to keep it fairly simple to showcase the color pencils that I'll be using in a minute. I'm also using the bat. I really like this spider and bat because they're solid, so it just creates a really nice contrast to the bright colors that I'll be adding afterwards. And again, I'm just filling in the spaces, and this you can see is obviously a much smaller image than even the spider. And then I wanted to use some of these little greetings that come in the stamp set. So this is the eek, and I will also pull in the candy in a minute because you can't have a sweet card without candy stamped all over it. So here I'm stamping my little candy, and then that will finish off the stamping for this card. I think that it would be really easy to mass produce this card and maybe give them away as a Halloween stamp set, or maybe to someone who has a birthday in October. I think that would be just kind of a fun little gift. So you can see I have a very modest supply of Prismacolor pencils. I have a set of 24, and they have served me wonderfully. I absolutely love these pencils. One little tip is to just try to make sure that the tips are nice and sharpened before you use them. I find that that really helps when applying the color. Prismacolor pencils are a very soft core, so they go onto paper very smoothly, and a sharp tip just really helps. I didn't really do any blending for these images. I colored my apples red, the stems brown, and then just to add a little bit of extra interest, even though I didn't really add any dimension with the coloring, is to use my white Prismacolor pencil to add a little detail to the side there to make them look a little shiny. Next, I will move on to coloring in my candy corn. I'm starting with the white tips, and then I will move on to my orange, and then I'll finish the bottom with yellow. I am not a huge fan of candy corn, and I had to Google to find out the actual order of the candy corn. So if you're ever coloring an image and you're not exactly sure, just Google it. I've suggested that before in these videos, and I find that when I'm kind of stuck for an idea, if I turn to Google or Pinterest or something like that, it always helps get my creativity flowing. So I'm just going right over the faces on the candy corn. I will go back in later with a gel pen to fill that in, and you'll see that in a minute. Once I finished with my orange centers, I moved on and finished with the yellow bottom. Again, I'm not using any blending or anything. I'm really just trying to apply the color. The Prismacolor pencils, and really color pencils in general, show up really nicely and brightly on craft cardstock, so I think it's kind of a fun technique to show. I used a Swiffer cloth just to brush the surface of my card so that any of the excess I guess, fibers or whatever comes off when you're using the colored pencils didn't like streak my card later. You can see there I used a black gel pen to finish off the eyes and mouths of each of the candy corns because when I used my orange pencil, it kind of blended those out. So I just wanted to make them even more vibrant. For my greeting, I'm using my Dymo manual label maker. This is a relic from my childhood, actually, and I am using a caution greeting. I took this greeting directly from the stamp set, but I wanted to add that little bit of texture using the manual label maker. But if you wanted to, you could stamp the sentiment onto black cardstock, heat emboss it with a white embossing powder, and then you would have a very similar look. To finish my card, I wanted to add just a little bit of extra detail, so I'm going over all of my apples with my Wink of Stella clear glitter brush marker. Once I'm finished with the Wink of Stella, my card will be complete. I hope that I've inspired you to maybe try a new technique with your colored pencils. Like I said, if you have any color pencils, you typically get a really good result on the craft cardstock, so definitely give that a try because it's a really cool effect in the end. Thank you so much for tuning into this YouTube video. I will be back on the Alleyway Stamps YouTube channel very shortly, and in the meantime, have a great week. Bye!